But the key to the second phase, the key to reconstruction, the key to transformation, the key to Israeli withdrawal from Gaza involves having a credible process of disarmament of Hamas. We will see, I suspect, within the next 2 weeks, maybe the first demonstration of some decommissioning of weapons. If that's the case, we'll see what is a process that will go in stages. You will see reconstruction go parallel to that. It will not go, if you don't see it, and the Israelis will not withdraw from what's known as the yellow line, which divides the green and the red zone, until there has been sufficient credible disarmament to justify the withdrawal.
This week, the remains of the last of 251 Israeli hostages were recovered in Gaza. That seems like a good place to begin. It's key, or said to be key, to ending phase 1 of the ceasefire. What has it triggered, and what's coming next?
So he was the last body. He was actually killed on October 7th. Ron Gavili, his body was actually recovered by the IDF. It was not Hamas who turned over his body, but the IDF recovered his body in what's known as the red zone. Gaza today is divided into a green zone, which Israel basically controls. It's 53% of Gaza. There's a red zone that's 47%. Hamas stood down where this cemetery was in northern Gaza, mostly, I think, because of Turkey and Qatar. Israel was allowed to go in and basically exhume a couple hundred bodies and check out forensically if, in fact, they had the right one, and that was the case. So the last body out of the 251 was returned to Israel. The Israelis had said they would not go ahead with phase 2, and I'll explain phase 2 in a second, unless all the bodies were recovered. That was the commitment that Hamas had made as part of phase 1. Did they play games with that for a while? The answer is for sure. President Trump had insisted that we go ahead with phase 2, even if the last body hadn't been recovered. Prime Minister Netanyahu had agreed that would be the case, so it meant this was quite unpopular within Israel itself. So the fact that that last obstacle was removed, now lets us go into phase 2. So what is phase 2? Phase 2 basically revolves around the following: the establishment of an alternative administrative governance in Gaza. Under the umbrella of the Board of Peace, there is under that rubric, under that heading. By the way, when I say the Board of Peace, this is a body that is chaired by President Trump. It has a number of leaders on it. It is, I don't want to say it's purely ceremonial, because it also has been invested by a Security Council resolution with complete authority for the next 2 years on everything in Gaza. Executive power, legislative power, it completely has it. It has created a board within the board to serve an executive function. It has a special representative, someone named Nikolai Mlodinow, who will be the interface and who will oversee what is called the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza. This is made up of 15 Palestinians, all from Gaza, all with technical expertise and background, none specifically identified with factions, although Ali Shath, who is the head of it, was a deputy minister in the Palestinian Authority. So the first thing that phase 2 embodies is the creation of an alternative administration for Gaza under the heading of the Board of Peace. Related to this is then not only the administration, but there has to be a security function, which will be served primarily by Palestinian police who've been trained in both Egypt and Jordan. The numbers at this stage, I think, are probably between 1,000 and 2,000. They are to be backed up by something called the International Stabilization Force. Its mandate, its rules of engagement, honestly, are still being developed. I can tell you, I know that there are 2 countries who are not yet prepared to be announced that will be part of this. There are others who are still discussing it. They will play a supporting role behind the police function. The National Committee for the Administration of Gaza is has established itself. It will go into Gaza within the next day or so. They will set themselves up in the red zone, the zone where Hamas is in control. They have issued a public statement already about what their purpose and charter is. They aim to address the needs of all the Palestinians within Gaza. And one point I should make before going on, when I say that the Israelis control 53% of Gaza in the green zone, less than 5% of the Palestinians are in the green zone. More than 95% are in the red zone. The reason that this National Committee for the Administration of Gaza is setting itself up in the red zone is because they want to be relevant. They will focus early on providing immediate humanitarian needs. There have been 4,200 trucks a week that have been going into the red zone, but the vast majority of those have actually been commercial trucks. And Hamas has been taxing those, which is the way they've been developing and acquiring revenue. The first task will be to provide a lot of portable housing. I was in Israel for 3 weeks up until early January. I was there when there were some pretty bitter storms, not measured in cold, but measured a great deal of rain. A lot of the tents in Gaza washed away. So portable housing, medicine, baby formula, just household materials will come in. They will not be taxed by Hamas. They will be delivered with the Palestinian police. So Hamas will not play any role in this. And this will be the first step in building the authority of this National Committee for the Administration of Gaza. 2 last points, and I'll stop. The crux to phase 2 is not what I just described, although that's the beginning of it. The crux to phase 2 is the disarmament of Hamas. Disarmament is to include its heavy weapons, its light weapons, and the tunnels, the location of all tunnels. President Trump has said there's a timetable, which he hasn't spelled out when that has to be done by. The reality is, if disarmament doesn't take place, there will not be reconstruction that takes place. You can have rehabilitation, you can have removal of rubble, but there will not be any serious reconstruction. I say any serious reconstruction in the red zone so long as Hamas does disarm. Now, the disarmament process can be in stages, and it can take place in different locations, and reconstruction can take place in the red zone in those places where disarmament or decommissioning of weapons has taken place. But the key to the second phase, the key to reconstruction, the key to transformation, the key to Israeli withdrawal from Gaza involves having a credible process of disarmament of Hamas. We will see, I suspect, within the next 2 weeks, maybe the first demonstration of some decommissioning of weapons. If that's the case, we'll see what is a process that will go in stages. You will see reconstruction go parallel to that. It will not go if you don't see it, and the Israelis will not withdraw from what's known as the yellow line, which divides the green and the red zone, until there has been sufficient credible disarmament to justify the withdrawal.
Hi, I'm Pat Morrison, one of the hosts of America at a Crossroads. If you like this video, don't just watch. Head over to our website where you can subscribe for early access to new programs, see our upcoming schedules, and connect directly with our guests in our weekly live streams. Thank you for watching.
Will journalists be allowed to come in and record the disarmament process?
I suspect they will be. Here, I think Hamas will have a big interest in demonstrating what they're doing. One of the things the Israelis fear, by the way, is that this will be a show. There'll be old weapons, it'll be not the key weapons, and so they want great visibility for this. Israel wants to be sure that this is meaningful. What makes it meaningful? All right, that they give up the remaining rockets that they have. That means they give up the mortars, they give up the anti-tank missiles, they give up the machine guns. What I just described is the kind of heavy weapons that represent a threat to Israel. But the AK-47s and the Kalashnikovs, they represent a threat to the people who live in Gaza. That's the means in which Hamas maintains control. So you really, I suspect, you start with the heavy weapons, you move to the lighter weapons, but they'll also have to be turning over of the location of where the tunnels are, just to put that in perspective. Israelis control that 53%, and they will say that they have basically dismantled or destroyed half of the tunnels in the 53% of Gaza that they control. They have not dismantled or destroyed the tunnels, maybe not more than 20% in the area that Hamas controls. So there's a lot that needs to be done there.
Next week, it's going to be, Ron Brownstein with Pat Morris.